On June 23, 1965, after receiving a call for a welfare check on Fred and Edwina Rogers, two Houston police officers knocked on the front door of the Montrose house before kicking it in. Inside, one opened the fridge and discovered what he thought was stacks upon stacks of hog meat. However, that was not hog meat at all. According to an article published the next day, it was written that on all the shelves and in the freezer compartment were the dismembered bodies cut in unwrapped pieces smaller than individual joints. The police realized what they were dealing with after opening the crisper to find two human heads. Hi everyone, today we'll be talking about the unsolved murders of Fred and Edwina Rogers, better known as the Icebox Murders. We will even talk about a strange conspiracy theory arising from this case that relates to the assassination of former United States President John F. Kennedy. So if you're interested in dark and mysterious stories, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on all notification buttons to stay updated on all of our latest videos. Let's continue. On the evening of June 23, 1965, Houston Police Captain Charles Bullock and his partner L.M. Bata were dispatched to the home of Fred and Edwina Rogers for a welfare check. Edwina's nephew Marvin Martin hadn't heard from his aunt for a worrying amount of time. When the police officers arrived and knocked on the door, their knocks were met with silence, so the two police officers wound around the back of the house. They found a makeshift barricade of flower pots obstructing the back door, which made Captain Bullock very suspicious. When he and Bata pushed inside and entered the kitchen, his suspicions shifted into adrenaline. He later remembered that something just didn't feel right inside the Rogers home. When the officers opened the fridge, the officers thought that they were seeing hog meat, and then they looked down. There, in the crisper compartment, were two decapitated human heads. When asked about it in an interview, Captain Bullock said, "I don't know why in the refrigerator, but for some reason I just opened it." So what the officers found in the fridge were the remains of the murdered couple, Fred and Edwina Rogers. They had been brutally killed, drained of blood, dismembered, and stuffed in the refrigerator. Somebody had forcefully removed the eyes and genitals of Fred Rogers and flushed his intestines down the toilet. Whoever did this apparently took their time and knew what they were doing. The medical examiner on the case was quoted by a newspaper. He continued by saying that the dismembering was a fairly neat job. Very soon, police zeroed in on a single suspect, the couple's 42-year-old son, Charles Rogers. Charles was living with his parents at the time, but what was more incriminating is that there was blood on the keyhole of his door and he was nowhere to be found. Charles Rogers was by all of society's standards a talented young man. He had served in World War II, graduated with a degree in nuclear physics, and spent nearly a decade working in Shell Oil as a seismologist. But his daily routine was something quite strange. He would leave home before dawn and return after dark. He rarely even saw his parents in person and communicated with them by slipping notes under their door. So, by all definitions, he was a recluse. As authorities started piecing together the family life of the Rogers, they found that Charles might have had a motive to kill his parents. According to the book The Icebox Murders by forensic accountants Hugh and Martha Gardiner, Charles had endured his parents' manipulative behaviors for years. They had taken out loans in his name, robbed him of his savings, and made his life a living hell. So that would form a good motive to kill his parents and run away. The police even went on a nationwide search for him, but found nothing. Authorities even checked the local airfields, as Charles learned how to fly while serving in the Navy, but truly, they just could not locate Charles. He was officially declared dead in absentia in 1975, so his estate could be probated. While there were many speculations and theories about who Charles Rogers was, the strangest one could be the one which links him to the plot to kill former American President John F. Kennedy. According to an argument brought forth in John R. Craig and Philip H. Rogers' 1992 book The Man on the Grassy Knoll, Charles was one of the so-called tramps spotted in Dealey Plaza in Dallas, Texas on November 22, 1963. According to this work, Charles was a CIA agent who was postulated to have impersonated Lee Harvey Oswald in Mexico City, and along with another man, Charles Harrison, was one of two shooters involved in the assassination of JFK. It is suggested that Charles Rogers had recorded his involvement in Kennedy's death in his diaries. When his parents uncovered the diaries, he killed them. Forensic accountants Hugh and his wife Martha continued to investigate the case and concluded that Charles Rogers did murder his parents and was later killed in Honduras. While they have dismissed John R. Craig and Philip A. Rogers' claims that Charles was a CIA operative due to a lack of evidence, they admit that Charles did have dealings with contract workers for the CIA when he worked as a seismologist. Hugh and Martha released more details for us to get a glimpse of Charles's life. They believe that Charles planned the murders of his parents for years because his father was abusive and both parents were devious con artists. According to their book, Fred worked as a bookie who regularly engaged in illegal activities such as gambling and fraud. They believe he was constantly abusing Charles into adulthood and began stealing large sums of money from him. Hugh and Martha claim that after Rogers killed and dismembered his parents, he fled the US for Mexico and was never found because he was aided by powerful friends he met through his ham radio hobby and while working in various oil and mining companies. They have theorized that Charles eventually made his way to Honduras, where he was killed over a wage dispute with some miners. All in all, it is safe to say that this remains one of the most gruesome unsolved murders of all time, and all we have are some interesting theories that could lead us closer to the truth one day. Anyway guys, that's it for today. Drop a comment down below on what you think of this video. If you have other stories you wish for me to cover, leave a comment and a link for me to look deeper into it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our latest videos. I see you in our next campfire stories. Thank you for watching.